And Joey, can I just get you to say your full name for the camera so that we've got your right pronunciation and spelling?
Yes, Joey only. On the Facebook, they add an E. It's Only. Otherwise, they wouldn't accept that as a name.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So for 10 years, I was the last one to leave MySpace because of it, and I'm not exactly a technologically sophisticated person. Um, Nonetheless, I've had this music career, which has had lots of technologically sophisticated people around me, like Josh here, who owns the lodge with me.
Yeah, I have so many. So you, I think you're really connected with so many people that I know, with the CBC, with weather. I mean, in a nutshell, what's your background?
So I guess how this all sort of started, and I was kind of laughing to people yesterday because there's nothing a meteorologist must hate more than when you have some guy who's sitting up in the mountains and he's saying like, "I feel the weather, man." But
No,
but I mean
I
that
love
is
that.
true. The thing is though that I've really tried to understand for a long time what it is I'm feeling and why it's happening. So it's sure it's self-taught, but I spend time watching university level lectures on YouTube and whatnot, and talking to people like you, trying to get the real scoop. How it all started was I've actually been struck by lightning a few times now, not directly in the head, thankfully, but as you well know, if you're anywhere within a certain amount of, I don't know where it hit, right? I felt it, then saw it the last time. So I had this
Wow.
1 year close encounter when I was 5. That made me terrified for quite a few years until I started paying more attention and reading more. I think Hurricane Hugo and Gilbert, when they came into the extratropical lows came to Ontario, and I couldn't get enough of it. I had to read more and more and more until finally I started watching the storms more closely, chasing them, trying to be where they were when they're happening, figuring out what was going on, and then getting struck pretty good a second time when I was 20. And we had other
Wow.
things like a tornado hitting my aunt's house 5K up the road in May 2000. And I've just happened to be there for so many of these things
Oh
over
my
the years.
goodness. Yeah,
And then
that
I'd,
is.
I'd take my band across Canada. We'd play music, and here we'd be in Alberta for 2 weeks playing for Stampede. And I'd be checking out the weather and be, hey, we were there when that $450 million hailstorm hit. And not only we were there, we were one of the people that weren't surprised because I was in the band. So actually, my drummer was taking tornado footage sometimes when we had off days. We'd go out and just chase storms. That's what. So I started this weather group 6 years ago because people kept telling me, you'll never figure out the weather in Wells. And I said, well, there's a reason things happen the way they do up here. It's not, this weird cosmic mystery zone where things don't make sense.
And where exactly are you right now?
I live in Wells, Bartonville,
Wells.
BC, 4,000 feet above sea level. So
Yeah.
if it's raining here, I know it's not snowing anywhere else. That's one
That's
of
a
my ways of.
That's great. No, I have huge respect for, I mean, you probably know weather more than meteorologists. I always say that. People who are ingrained in weather and take their time to notice it and are influenced by it. I mean, you probably could be a full-fledged meteorologist at this point. So,
Well, we have this symbiotic relationship too. It's like when I've worked in geology, I'm a prospector in those roles, and I speak the jargon. I understand what's going on. I know what I'm looking
mhm,
at, but they're the one that has the professional stamp they put on the report at the end. And you need your storm spotters and your chasers and your
totally.
educators and your communicators, as well as we need the professionals. And I've been talking to people in the group today saying that because they a lot of people have this mysterious awe of me up here, like you're more than the weatherman is. And I said, well, I'm
You're
more
probably
vague.
true.
I'm more vague because I don't have to have a quota of every day put a number and a little icon on your map.
Yeah,
I can kind of be vague. And secondly, it's those people that I'm watching. It's Tyler Hamilton that's in our group that I'm paying attention to. It's your news reports. I like Yvonne Schell's reports on
oh yeah,
weather. I've been following Reed Timmer's tornado chases for
yep,
20 years. So I'm watching these people. So
totally. No, I
trust
am
them.
too, and I learn from them all the time. So, what's this weather group?
Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers. I started it 6
Oh,
years ago,
well, I
and
need to join this.
pardon me.
Can I join this?
I would love it if you did.
Yes, I can't believe I didn't know about this.
So I
So
ended up having some, it started off with just my friends on it, right? And then
yeah,
as you write more and more, people share your posts, and then I started making them tighter and tighter, and still, like, until recently, I've only been doing just posts with images, and I kind of thought, like, I've got this life in media, I might as well take it to the next level. But things that really helped us were, a week before the big fire outbreak. And I'm a wildfire fighter.
Yes.
I said, there's absolutely no way that we're not going to have an explosion of fires next week when this dry system comes in. It's cold, it's going to slam in. We're going to have widespread thunderstorm behavior. And of course, when you say that for a week and you're making a prediction that's, you're kind of risking yourself to say it. But what happened was exactly that. Friday afternoon, 200 plus fires lit across the province, and suddenly people were requesting like crazy. And then other things too, like we actually got a tornado that touched down in Quesnel in 2015 out in Cinema, and because Environment Canada is defunded and doesn't have the guys to send up, they didn't come and confirm our tornado damage. So
Wow.
I'll be angry about that one forever. June 12th.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. June 12th, you said?
Yeah.
That up 2015.
You can see the radar shot. It was a day it shouldn't have happened, but the Fraser River Valley angered the cell when it passed over.
So interesting. Okay, I feel like we could talk forever. You've got these really interesting connections. So the interior wilderness and
Interior Weather and Wilderness Watchers.
And it's on Facebook?
Yes, Facebook.
Okay.
Group.
This is awesome.
The idea is that the weather isn't just up here and the wilderness is down here. The two of them are.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I'm totally on the same page with you for all of this.
Which mountain a thunderstorm is convecting off of. You see the heat, you see the interplay.
I love this. And you know what? Honestly, I'm forecasting for mainly Vancouver, but trying to give big picture for the whole province. But I truly believe you really can't fully give a great forecast until you're on the ground there. So, I mean, you know your microclimate so much better than I do.
And there's this gap through the central interior, especially like, you look at the Weather Network report and it's like, well, in Victoria and Vancouver and Kelowna and over in Calgary. And, that just says nothing to the vast majority.
I couldn't agree more. Joey, do you mind if I actually ask you like a couple of focused questions about this storm season, and then yes. I would love to add a question at the end, sort of just generally about sort of what we're talking about, the idea of how important weather is and sort of the lack of information.
And I kind of want to ask you the same question back.
Okay. Okay, that's good.
Because I think I know where you're going to go.
Okay, well, let me just start off by saying, okay, what's it like out there right now? Because we're waiting for yet another big storm system. The warnings are in place. What's it like right now?
Well, I mean, it's really clear. It's nice. We're getting that bit of that high pressure, that cool air is swept in today. So it's a bit sunnier. There's a bit of stratiform. One of our group members has seen some sundogs over Quesnel. So, there's some evidence that there's some change coming through. I don't think tomorrow here we're going to see quite the unfurling that we've kind of had all throughout BC recently. It looks like next Tuesday is going to really be the day. That's how it's looking. This new low that's going to start really getting strength, gaining strength tomorrow. It's a perfect storm. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I would use to describe it. It has been, I mean, how long have you lived in Wells?
I've been here 12 years now.
Okay, so
been in the area off and on for over 15.
All right, so you definitely know your seasons. To me, I mean, this is storm season, especially where you are, but it seems to me like this has been a particularly active year for storms for where you are. Are you seeing the same thing?
Well, I mean, it hasn't hit us here the way it should. We have way less snow in Wells than usual. I mean, last year we had something like 40 feet of precipitation measured at Barkerville. But also on January 15th last year, and I know because I'd had to start a vehicle, it was minus 41. So although it's normal to have storm season, to me, I generally find this is the cold of the year, where generally that lull, you can expect that the Arctic air mass is at its maximum strength. It's the darkest and coldest it's going to be up there. And this year, though, when you're looking at the North Pacific, the water is warm, and you can only ask yourself why. And then the Arctic air, it's over in Asia, and it's it's swooping in from the sort of the Alaska or the Arctic Ocean up there and swooping in from Asia. So it's feeding our counterclockwise. Have you lost my image?
Yes, I lost your
There we go.
video. Okay, got you back.
So it's swooping in the counterclockwise motion, and it's feeding these warm blobs, and it's getting these giant cyclones spinning, and then they're pounding at the coast. And I sent you this image of this guy. He's Frank Cannonball Richards. And what he would do, he's a circus freak. He'd stand in front of the cannonball and he'd take a shot right in his gut. And in the image I've been saying to my members, you can imagine that the cannonball is these storms hitting him, and his gut's like the coast of BC. And he's standing there in the image in the cannonball. And I'm saying, now what's going to happen if the cannonball hits this guy repeatedly? His skin and his flesh is the jet stream protecting him, and his body inside is the Arctic air mass. And eventually, because he's just getting hit relentlessly, something's got to give. And when you look at the map, the Arctic air mass, we're having record highs across Canada and tornadoes in California. Tyler Hamilton pointed out today on Weather Network that it's 25 degrees above normal in the North Pole.
Yeah, Nunavut.
Warm
Crazy.
air feeding up from Norway, sort of. Things are really drastically weird, by the way. And so I'd like to hear your take on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head as far as the weirdness this year. But just one more question, because I've heard a lot of people across the interior colloquially talk about this being a mild season, but it's a La Nina year. So typically we would see colder than normal temperatures, which we're definitely getting at higher elevations, but it's warmer than normal at sea level. And I mean, like you said, normally it would be much colder. You'd get more Arctic outbreaks. You'd see much more snow on the ground. Is this a trend you've been noticing, or, does this year really stand out?
This really stands out because I think for the last 5 years, we've had extremely cold winters here with less precipitation. That kind of changed halfway through last winter. At the end of January, we started getting hammered by storm after storm after storm. And I can tell you, because I was on roofs shoveling them around the community here, I have a fall protection ticket, that there was snow all the time, compressed, hard, deep. It was crazy. So, but the years before that haven't been big snow years here, and we've been kind of getting spared by that. So I just don't know if you can sit there and look at your own backyard and draw large conclusions from that.
Mm-hmm.
Nonetheless, to me, this is warm. This has been fairly dry here. It's not a winter that how to put it in other words, if the cold air doesn't come soon, we're not going to see that -30 snap this year. I just can't see it.
It's really interesting. Yeah, my thoughts on this are, we were waiting for La Nina to kick in. We know generally things are getting warmer, but you're right, we're coming out of some cold years, especially for the interior. But we were kind of waiting for La Nina to take hold, and we'd be getting some good snow for parts of the province, and it's like La Nina hasn't kicked in yet, and there's some other force overriding it, and we're not getting those big Arctic outbreaks. And I think the source is happening at the Arctic, like, Tyler Hamilton talking about the stratospheric warming. I think we're seeing anomalies in the poles that's overriding some of our more normal weather oscillations. And yeah, it's amazing that, we still have a couple months to get through, but like you said, it's amazing that we haven't had an Arctic outbreak yet this year. We haven't had one of those big high pressures. We've had an active storm track, and I wonder if it's just the placement of the jet stream. But I'm with you, it's totally weird. And even, all the way down to places like Kelowna, like they're also warm and dry. So
well, you use the right word too, the oscillation. And going back to that question, like, what have I noticed over the last number of years, has been the jet stream to me has been very wild in its oscillations. You're on this side, you're on that side, you're on this side, you're on that side, and so the last 2 seasons, as a firefighter, I've gone broke because we've been on the wrong side of it, right? And getting, a lot of Gulf of Alaska weather in the summer, and I've been sitting at home not being a squad boss.
Yeah, I guess last year was last couple of years were a rare break for you. I know you were still probably working hard, but Any thoughts for the season ahead?
Well, I'm in my 40s, so I want the work. I'm running out of time to really be on the front line out there, and I love it on the front line. I live for that kind of stuff. Um, Looking at what I see at my door today, I mean, I'm always hesitant to make predictions, right? But I don't see that we're not going to get the snow load here or the cold. So I'm worried about the caribou in the long run.
One sort of last question for me, if that's okay, just about this weather group. If you wouldn't mind trying to sort of answer in a few sentences, because I'd love to for the audience to hear more about sort of why you created this weather group, like just a bit on the background and what kind of things you share. Because I think the South Coast can sometimes get very insular, and it would be great to hear more about this weather group.
Well, that's just it. There's a need for reporting here in the Caribou and Prince George areas. You have a lot of people who live up here, and when they turn the TV on, there's just not really often something being said to them directly about what to expect in their backyard. And yeah, so they end up relying on a website that's got some icons on it. It says -10 with a sunshine on it, and that's like the best quality some people are getting, right? So first of all, I think like talk about what you know. So I mean, I've been on the land my whole life. It's kind of this only child thing where my friend was the forest, so I spent time in it, and I have things I've learned and want to communicate and speak about what you know. I think I decided to take it to this next level of doing more YouTube and more video because there's such a need for it and people are interested and people want to know more about why things are the way they are. And if you're a communicator, you sort of owe it to somebody to say something about that. The group, it's grown on its own. I mean, I didn't really do anything to feed it. I just kept making reports and making posts, and people kept sharing them and sharing them. And now I know that we've really had a lot of impact across BC. And the members can come share their photos, or people take pictures of the thermometer, or take a video of a thunderstorm. Or in the summertime, we've had people who are great photographers who love taking lightning shots. And I'm always warning them, careful.
From experience.
But at the same time, I do have enough experience too that I'm listening to when I'm watching a storm, I'm listening to my AM radio for what kind of static am I hearing. I can tell if it's a ground shot or a cloud shot. And I know often how safe or unsafe I am. I've seen the hair on my arm stand up and sit down. So take Environment Canada's word for it. Practice lightning safety. Don't do as I say, not as I do. But safety. And there's a lot of people who work in the bush every day, and they just want to know, like, what's it going to be like out there today? And hey, Joey's saying, if you start seeing dark clouds at 3 this afternoon, there's going to be, and sure enough, by 11 o'clock, they're out of touch with the world. But then Environment Canada's throwing up their weather warnings and weather watches, and they didn't get to see that. All they saw was me blabbing as if I know something.
I think you do. I would argue that you do. This is great. Yeah, I'm going to go check out the site, and it was so great to connect with you. I'll keep you posted. I'm not if we put it together tonight, or it might end up getting moved to tomorrow because of this Washington stuff.
Yeah.
But either way, I'd love to keep in touch with you. I mean, I think you are the link to the interior, and if I think you're a great communicator, and if there are ways that I can help you or get the message out. I mean, I think the nice thing about the weather community, as you know, is that we're all in it together. So I feel like us connecting was a long time coming.
It's not like when you're a scientist who works in the oil patch. There's very few spots to be famous and successful in the world of meteorology and
ain't that the truth?
Sciences, right? So not only do you have to work together, but you want to get it right because there's no other motivation behind doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything? I mean, can I before we go? Is there anything?
Yes, I answered this question for a group member, but I think I'll ask you anyways because I think sometimes these questions, the ideas, they come from, because I was just talking about, oil company scientists, and, where do these ideas come from? I just wonder sometimes, is the magnetic pole moving around and affecting our weather? So the question was, hey folks, what is your take on the idea of polar shift and how it may or may not be coming into play with the crazy patterns that we are seeing more and more often? I'd just like to hear what you say about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that out there, because I get these questions often, and it's not a completely out of left field, based in no truth question. Yeah, there are certainly regular shifts that happen to our magnetic poles. We have big clues as to when they're coming, and I think there is some recent research that shows that we're getting closer to a shift, but I mean, we're still talking centuries and
Thousands.
centuries away. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, if not thousands. So, and we know, based on other good science, that the wild weather we're seeing is connected to climate change. I mean, the amplifying of the extreme weather is connected to climate change. But I always respect when people, ask questions and are open for engaging discussions.
I suggested that the location of the poles may affect who sees the aurora borealis more than who doesn't, but that's just my guess.
Yeah, it is connected. No, you're right, totally. So, yeah, that was good. You must get good, interesting questions on there.
Yeah, to a degree, but I really try to keep it about our backyard weather. So I've done well to not open the climate discussion a lot, and what that's allowed is for people who don't agree with me politically to come on board and see what the weather's doing. Nonetheless, we present enough data that our own members easily can draw their own conclusions, and there's just no way I can't talk about it right now when I
That's
look at
interesting.
patterns like this, right? So I've really tried to, because people will post a question like that sometimes, or post something that's happening on the other side of the earth, and to say, is this for or against climate change? I don't, whatever their opinion is that they're trying to promote. I'm like, well, hey, we're just here to talk about, the BC interior as much as we can. Like, so hey, if I find an article about the bears waking up early and we think that's because of climate change, well, that's legitimate to talk about.
Yep.
But let's not go talking about the whole world. The whole world's got the rest of the world to talk about it. No one's talking about the BC
that.
interior.
Yep, I really respect that way you focused it. I mean, I'm still trying to find strategies to deal with that, and I want to talk about that, but I have a different platform than you do, and I think that's a really good call to keep it focused and keep it about what no one else is talking about.
It's sort of like legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi says, you got to choose your battleground, right? You got to have your back to the sun. And it's like, I don't necessarily like to deal with those questions in that sphere.
Yes.
I don't think it's the best way to educate people, whatever, right?
I completely agree. Yeah.
Nonetheless, I got to keep doing it. If you see my page, I say whatever the heck I think about the
okay,
world, so.
This is awesome.
my Joey Only page, trust me, I'll say what I think there. And, I have a long history of being an anarchist freak who does just that. But for the same thing, I'm not using weather watchers to promote my opinions either.
Yeah, I respect the way that you kept it segmented, and that allows more people to join and be part of it. Well, this is great. It was so great chatting with you. Is the best way to keep conversation going through Facebook messages?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you able to record on your end, or do you want me to send you?
I think we did. Yes.
Okay.
Josh, we did.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was so nice to meet you in person, and I'll send you a message to let you know if we get the segment together today or tomorrow, depending on what's going on south of the border.
Perfect. And we'll just be on it till then.
But either way, it'll be nice to keep in touch with you regardless on future weather stories.
And what we're trying to do too is raise money in the group, because I've just been kind of doing this. I'm a dad with 2 kids and I'm busy, but I realize I need to upgrade my technological capabilities here. So I have Josh's camera right now strung to a laptop whose keyboard doesn't work properly, which is strung to my big TV. And I got a mic stand from the music room here that's holding up a cord so that it's into the laptop and doesn't. And so, what we're trying to do is I now have enough money for a new computer that's going to wildly make the difference. I don't have to get Josh to be on everything I do, and then I need to get just better equipment myself, right?
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
My thing has been fixing this 12,000 square foot building up and being there for my kids and leading practices of the Wells Volunteer Fire Brigade. And
it sounds like you got a lot
going
on.
Buying $6,000 worth of gear it's never going to happen. I need the members to make that happen.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'll be
Well,
more useful to you.
agreed. Well, let me take a look at the site, and if I can share anything, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay. It was so nice talking to you. Enjoy the high pressure.
Yeah, I will.
Take care.